Hello everybody, my name is Aiden and welcome back to another video on the NBA channel. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a little bit of a shorter one because we've got breaking news in relation to the NBA, as today marks the day that Doc Rivers steps down as the Milwaukee Bucks head coach. What an interesting turn of events, but ultimately, am I surprised by this? No. I think the wording steps down in the sense that he kind of selected to step down. It's a bit of an interesting way to phrase it, because ultimately, I feel like if he had not stepped down, pretty sure the Bucks would have fired him. So I think this is just, I guess, a respectful way of letting Doc Rivers go as the head coach. And to be fair, maybe Doc Rivers himself did not want to be part of the Milwaukee Bucks organization anymore. This is coming off of, I believe, 3 failed seasons with the Milwaukee Bucks, where they didn't really come close to really any sort of success. And to be fair, this is not just a Doc Rivers issue with the Milwaukee Bucks. Ever since that championship way back when against the Phoenix Suns, they haven't really had much success since then, whether it's because of the trades that they've made or injury concerns that they had right afterwards, whatever the case may be. There just wasn't much success for the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm pretty sure there's 3 years or 4 years in a row where they got eliminated in the first round, and this year they finished in the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference, which is just not good enough for a team of the Milwaukee Bucks, and I should say for a team of Giannis Antetokounmpo standards. When you have one of the best players in the world today, you need to be able to build a team around him, and most importantly, those players need to be able to contribute. So I kind of sense with the Milwaukee Bucks, this is going to be the first of many decisions that they have to make. So Doc Rivers stepping down is easy, in my opinion. It's an easy decision to make in the grand scheme of things. But what's next for the Milwaukee Bucks? There has to be more. Obviously, a young group. They're going to get a pretty decent draft pick this season, but they need experience. They need talent in this team. If you are going to build around Giannis, you don't have much time left. You know, Giannis, he's no spring chicken anymore. He's getting up there in age. He has declared every single season that he wants to win. And most importantly, he wants to win with the Milwaukee Bucks. It is not a situation where he's actively going against Milwaukee. All the rumors every year suggest he wants a trade, and he probably does want a trade. But it doesn't look like he's forcing that trade. He wants to do it in Milwaukee. He has said publicly, just as much as he makes it privately, he wants a trade. He has said it publicly. He wants to be a Milwaukee Bucks player for his entire career. He wants to be a one-person club. And there's too few and far between of those in this day and age. You know, Stephen Curry is probably the most recent one from the Golden State Warriors. You know, Draymond Green maybe as well. That Golden State Warriors team has a couple of them, I guess. Even Klay Thompson didn't make it for the Golden State Warriors. It's very, very rare to do that. But Giannis is at the point of his career where winning has to be the priority. One championship might be good for a lot of guys, but when you're considered one of the best in the world, one championship won't be enough. If you want to secure that status as one of the best players to ever play the game of basketball, you need to keep winning, and you need to keep doing it at the highest level. So if Milwaukee can't do that, this is going to end up being a situation where they could very well trade Giannis, and it could be because Giannis is demanding to leave. But right now, there is still time. And that's the best that you could ask for as a Milwaukee Bucks fan. There is still time to make the right decisions. This is just one of them. Unfortunately, Doc Rivers, I think for quite some time now, has shown that maybe the modern game of basketball isn't exactly the greatest place for him to be as a coach. I think if you're Doc Rivers, you need to start investigating heading into maybe a front office, or maybe investigating heading into maybe college coaching, whatever the case may be. But yeah, as a head coach of a team that deserves better the way they are, I just don't think he's the right coach. I wouldn't put him in a championship contention coach. I wouldn't really put him in any of the top teams. And ultimately, if he's going to stay as a coach in the NBA, I think it's better that he goes into the assistant coaching roles, like what some of the veteran coaches are starting to do as the new, I guess, the new blood of basketball is stepping up in many ways. A lot of the coaches in the NBA now are actually quite young. Then all these older coaches are taking that step back. And maybe that's what Doc Rivers needs to do. He has had an incredible career. I will never forget his time with the Boston Celtics, because that's when I grew up. That was my generation of basketball. So him with the Celtics is what I grew up on. Then he moved to the Clippers, and the Clippers were just a fantastic team, man. Genuinely a fantastic team, a thrill to watch. Lob City and everything. He was a big part of that. And he's had good stints elsewhere, but to me, I think it really is time to figure out maybe a way to get into the front office role. And this is definitely the right decision for the Milwaukee Bucks. This is three head coaching changes in 3 seasons. Maybe he wasn't there for 3 seasons. Maybe it was like a season and a half or something. That would make sense to have 3 seasons then. But yeah, as a head coach, I think his time is done in the NBA. But in an advisory role, in an executive role, in a front office role, heck, I think the Bulls could maybe take a look at him in terms of a front office role, considering we don't have much of a front office anymore because we let go of the guys that tore the place down. So essentially, maybe he could kind of fit into the Chicago Bulls. I wouldn't mind Doc Rivers as an advisory. I think he's well respected around the league. He's very knowledgeable about the game of basketball. Most importantly, he has great player management. And I think in a front office role, having someone you can openly communicate to in that role, it's very similar to I view Brad Stevens when he was first a coach and then he moved into a front office role. I think it really does help to have a reliable, a trusted leader in a way in Doc Rivers in an advisory role, in an executive role that could be representing maybe the players in terms of that front office. I think it could be very important for a team. So I wouldn't mind Doc Rivers heading into that advisory role, and I think it's best. And I wish him nothing but the best. It's sad to see a player or a coach lose their job, but firstly, he is stepping down. This is his choice, but I think the Bucks would have made it for him if he didn't make this choice. And secondly, I don't think he's leaving this job just to not have a job anymore. I really think a team will take advantage of him if he really wants to go into an advisory role. Maybe it is for a contender, maybe it's for a rebuilding team like the Bulls or heck, even the Bucks at this point. But it's very, very possible. And I personally would like to see it happen. So that's really it about Doc Rivers. We could turn it back to the Bucks now. This is probably the first of many changes. I think what the Bucks need to do now is they need to obviously investigate a new coach. And I don't think they need experience anymore. I think they've been going for 2 experienced coaches, way too many experienced coaches. And I kind of feel like they need to steer away from that and try something different. Maybe they need a little bit of new blood in there. Maybe they need to have a little bit of a new creative way to play. Maybe they need to bring a coach from the college scene, or maybe a coach from the international scene. Whatever the case may be, that seems to be the wave of where a lot of NBA teams are going. They're going for the younger, more, I guess, expansive brand of basketball sort of coach. And those are usually found in college, and they're usually found, across the seas, I guess you could say. That's where they're normally found, the international scene. But I think that's where the Bucks need to head. I think they need fresh blood in that organization, and they don't need someone that's been coaching for 20 years at this current point, and the game has kind of passed them by in the modern sense. I don't think they need that at this current point. So we'll see if they could get that done. But the most important thing as well, they got to get this draft selection right. Whether they trade the pick or whether they use their pick, they need to get this draft selection right. And then they need some experienced players in that team to play alongside of Giannis. Giannis needs his number 2 and his number 3. When he won the championship with the Bucks, he had Chris Middleton, he had Drew Holiday, he had Brook Lopez, if I'm not mistaken. Like he had a team around him that was solid, capable, experienced veterans. And a very decent bench that could shoot the 3 as well. That's how the Bucks got to their championship. It's because they had those veteran pieces around Giannis. Yes, you could have a relatively young team around Giannis. By all means, there's a lot of good young talent there that can make a difference in a championship. I really believe that. But ultimately, he needs experience around him. He cannot be carrying a bunch of inexperienced players to a championship. I mean, when was the last time you saw anybody do that? If it has happened, I can't remember it. Maybe the Kawhi with the Raptors, 2019, maybe. But, Kyle Lowry was on that team. You can't say he's an inexperienced player. Like, he was around the league for a long time. Pascal was at least somewhat close to an all-star level, or he had a breakout year that year. So, it's very hard to do. And yes, there might be players that can really step up for the Bucks and have a breakthrough year. It still has to come with that experience. And I'm not talking about Kyle Kuzma experience. I'm talking about his second option. Like a genuine second option. And a third option as well. Maybe. And I do think they need a good big man. They really do need a good big man. Miles Turner is the perfect big man, to be fair. So that's sort of you could tick that off the books. But they do. He needs a second option. He needs it. It's as simple as that. So that's my thoughts on Milwaukee. I think ultimately this is good news for Milwaukee fans. This is the next step for them. This is a step to change. And they need that change. And the front office needs to implement that change. And the ownership needs to understand that this change can be good for them. But right now, figure out who that coach is. Get some fresh blood into that team. Make the draft selection or trade the draft pick. But whatever you do, it has to be the right choice. You can't make a mistake on this pick. Don't go for the project player. Don't do what the Bulls do. Don't go for the project player. Go for the player that can make an impact off your books from the very beginning. You need to make the right selection, or you got to trade that pick for the right player. And you need that second option for Giannis. Otherwise, the trade talks will continue to happen every season. Even in this offseason, Giannis will probably end up being the trade talks. So unless you're really considering moving on from Giannis in this offseason, you got to make the necessary changes to build that team around Giannis. I don't think Giannis is leaving this offseason. I really don't. I think if he leaves, it'll be next season in the trade period, if the Bucks just turn out to be once again a shell of what they used to be. That's how I see Giannis leaving. But you never know. He could leave this offseason. It might make sense to leave this offseason. That's a discussion for another time. But thank you for watching. All the best, Doc Rivers. Thank you for a legendary career, at least. Even in my lifetime, when I started watching up until now, he's been a vocal point in the league for many, many reasons. And I respect him heavily. But it was time to make that call. Have a wonderful and safe day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care. And peace.